winner, Miss America 2008 is Miss Michigan, Kirsten Haglund.
For someone who's severely struggling from an eating disorder, your mind doesn't act normal. You really see yourself as horribly disgusting. I loved ballet. I felt like when I was dancing that I became one with the music. I felt like that was my world. That was all I ever wanted to be and ever wanted to do. And it was beautiful. But when I was turning 12 years old, my life imploded. My mom was diagnosed with breast cancer, and my older brother started to develop OCD. I started going through puberty, and all of these things that I had known in my life all of a sudden kind of came crashing down around me. I started to feel very insecure. One summer when I went away to study at a very competitive ballet school, I realized that I don't look like these other girls. Maybe I'm not thin enough. Maybe I'm not good enough to be a professional dancer. You know, all the other things that identify you, like your family and what you do well in school and all this other stuff, like all those other things were kind of going away and crashing down around me. It felt like ballet was the only thing, like I needed to make sure I did well at that. I knew that I could have success in that area. So I thought, I'm gonna do whatever it takes to be a professional ballet dancer. I'm gonna train as hard as I've ever trained. I'm gonna push my body. And of course, part of that is the hours that you train and the extra hours you put in the studio and the extra time you spend stretching. But also there's the aesthetic. I would let myself eat fried food and I'd have dessert and I'd have cookies. But like those very serious girls, they didn't eat that same food. And for the first time I was like, well, maybe I should be thinking about what I'm eating. Like maybe I should be dieting. Isn't that what every like fashion magazine says? Like how to be a woman and like lose 5 pounds and feel great. So I thought, well, maybe that's part of this whole like growing up and being a good ballerina thing that I haven't gotten yet. Like maybe I need to go on a diet. And I remember I was living with a host family. My host mom would pack me a lunch and send us off to ballet camp all day. And I remember that day I made a conscious decision. I looked at my luncheon full of food and I walked over to the trash can and I threw my lunch away. And I felt very good. I felt very proud of myself. And I would continue to do things like blacklisting foods. Oh, carbs are supposed to be bad, so maybe I shouldn't eat any carbs. Fats are supposed to be bad, so maybe I shouldn't eat any fat. And I just started to make up these rules for myself. It fit in with everything else I was doing. All ballet is rules. Point your foot, straighten your knee, be in line, be on the count, and do it all while you're smiling. My life just became following the rules of my eating disorder. It's about food, and it's about losing weight, creating a body type that you want. But it is about so much more than that. It is slavery. By the time I was 15, I was just a total shell of my former self. The lie of anorexia said to me, if you just stick with me, like, I'll give you everything you want. You'll be beautiful, you'll be loved, you'll be light as a feather, you'll be exquisite, like you'll be gorgeous. The mirror for someone who's severely struggling with body image is like a torture device. My thighs, my butt, my stomach, my face, like my cheeks, all I saw was failure. Still wasn't there yet. It still wasn't anorexic enough. Both my parents are nurses. So you'd think that they should be keyed into eating disorders, what they are, signs and symptoms, that kind of thing, but they didn't. I think just a lot of people were in denial around me. I mean, I was in denial. we were just having major wars over food. I mean, we couldn't have a peaceful meal because I was always talking about what I wouldn't eat and what I would. I mean, it was like, I was such a terror. It was such an like depressed, dark, anxious zone. I was just like always on edge, always having a major temper. I was just a totally different person than the girl that my parents knew before. And I think that's really what caused them to be like, we need to get you some help. So finally, my mom took me to the doctor. My pediatrician, of course, knew and said, yes, she has an eating disorder. She's anorexic, and recommended us to like a treatment team of doctors that I should start seeing in order to get on this path to recovery. I was screaming and crying. I was so mad at my mom that she betrayed me, that she took me to the doctor. I was just doing what I needed to do in order to be a professional ballet dancer. Like, they didn't know. I know what you guys are doing. You're just trying to make me fat, really, is what you're doing. I thought, I will play their game. I will just gain a little bit of weight in order to make them feel like I am playing along. And then they'll okay me, they'll give me a check mark, and I'll go back to being anorexic again. That was my plan. But that was when I kind of started to realize that I couldn't fool God. He saw everything. He saw the front I put on for people, and he saw the Kirsten who was still dissatisfied and upset and anxious and afraid, and that I couldn't half get better. He wanted everything. But I wasn't willing to give it up yet. About 6 months into that plan, I was running on the treadmill. I hadn't eaten enough, and I was punishing myself for something, and I was running and just pushing my body, and I almost blacked out. I tripped and I stumbled over and I fell, and I immediately jumped off and had to sit down. I was so in tune with my body. I knew every pain. I knew every soreness. I knew every beat of my heart. I know my body. That was like not something that I ever dreamed that I would be out of control of, and all of a sudden my body just starts to give out on me. That was hugely scary. As I sat down, tried to get my heart rhythm back and my breath calmed down and like my dizziness gone, out of the pit of my stomach, out of nowhere, like 3 years of basically feeling so few emotions, just came like this desire, just like a volcano, like just erupting up out of me. All of a sudden, I realized I wanted to eat pizza again. I wanted to eat birthday cake, and I wanted to travel the world. I wanted to have a boyfriend, get married. I wanted to fall in love. I wanted to feel love. I wanted to learn another language, and I wanted to help people. Just so many of these desires coming up out of nowhere. Exercising some other passions that I had. Getting more involved with things at school. Going out with friends. I wanted to feel. I wanted to be a real person again. What if there's more to life? What if I can do other things? It was that moment that I really realized I wanted to change. I had a lot of girlfriends who came alongside of me during that time. One girlfriend recommended this great book to me about what it meant to be a woman. And at the beginning of every chapter of this book, there was a Bible verse and like a movie quote. I love the movie quotes, but there are these scripture verses. I was like, wow, I didn't know the Bible had that kind of juicy stuff in it. So I went and found a Bible that I had from like my 8th grade confirmation. It's like the only Bible that I had. And I opened it up and started looking up some of these verses, and that took me to the Psalms. I found these words of David, and they're just so beautiful. They were so rich, and they were so real. Just like jumped off the page. And I remember I would just read the Psalms and I would just like cry because they were so good. And they were so like dramatic. And David's like, my tears have been my food day and night. Kind of like what you feel like in your heart when you're at the depths of your eating disorder. Just like, oh my gosh. It was real. I found the words to be my words. And it wasn't like an answer. Like, it wasn't like I opened up and it was like, here's how you release your perfectionism. But it just brought comfort to my soul. And I realized that I wasn't in it alone. Jesus was like reaching down his hand into the pit and being like, I've got you. Like, I'm here with you. I love you. I love you so much that I died for you. When you're in bondage to an eating disorder, your life is constantly consumed with meeting certain standards, following certain rules, and punishing yourself so that you'll be good enough. But through my relationship with Christ and understanding my identity as a child of God, I realized that love and acceptance was a free gift that I could never earn, that grace was given to me by God, and there's nothing that I could ever do, and no failure or brokenness that I could ever have that would keep him from loving me. My name is Kirsten Haglund, and I am second.